Okay, I think we're back on. Just so you guys know, on Facebook, they're starting a new kind of producer version of Facebook Live. But what I've noticed is that it's having problems. So there's kind of an area where you can tell them that they're having problems. And I'm going back to the old one, the old little system they use. But hey, Bob, what's happening? So this is Shredder lesson number 4. So last time we did some string skipping and worked a little bit on what string skipping was like and how that is cool in guitar playing. How instead of just playing scales that way, we can skip strings. And that was kind of fun to be able to do that when you're playing scales in a solo type of environment. It's nice to sometimes skip the string, and sometimes you'll get a different sound out of string skipping. So working on that is really cool. We worked a little bit on our fingers too, instead of just playing everything this way, where you can skip strings, using just a pick. But we worked on working on your fingers too. You know, so you can do if you do it with your fingers, it might be a little easier. So anyway, you got to just practice with those things. This lesson, I'm going to work a little bit with you guys on more of your speed bursts and how to start really picking this up and getting this to work good. So by the way, you can comment on my sound if everything you can hear okay. The guitar you can hear okay, and my voice you can hear okay. I can turn either of them down if I need to, but I'm hoping the guitar is good. I'm hoping it's okay, I'm trusting. So I'm trusting it's okay with you guys. So let me know if it's not sounding good. But anyway, on with the lesson. So we've been working in A and we've been working in E. So we've been working a little bit in E minor, this little pattern, this 6 pattern. And we've been working with a 6 pattern of major up on the A. So this is, which is kind of cool. So we got that major, and we got this. If I snap the strings, it sounds cool like a bass. But anyway, if we want to pick up our speed, if you want to learn a little more speed playing, right, then we know that we have to learn the scales, but we have to start small, and that's why we're starting with just the six notes. Because if you can't play 6 fast, then you ain't gonna be able to play any more fast too. So again, what we're trying to work up to is a 3-octave scale. So we are going to try to work up to a that's a melodic minor pattern, but we can make it a major. And we can do 3 octaves that way. So practicing 3-octave scales is awesome, but in order to play it fast, a 3-octave scale, you got to kind of learn them a lot, and then you have to learn how to do your bursts. So in order to do the bursts, what you want to do is start off small, start off with 6 notes. So if you're playing guitar and you're used to playing guitar, but you've never played lead before at all, and you're kind of like, man, I'd really like to get in there and play my leads, and do different things, do your arpeggios and things like that, you have to start somewhere, right? You might not know all the scales. So that's why we're just working with six notes, man. That's it. Everything else we're doing is octaves. Isn't that crazy? So it's all just really 6 notes that we're messing with. And it's just that, or so just an E minor or an A major. That's what we're working on right now. But let's go into this next lesson and what this lesson is really about. And that is, it's about burst, but now we're going to burst through the whole scale. So so I'm going to take just the A major scale right now, and just a standard, what do they call this, the diatonic scale, maybe that's it, right? So, and you guys are really familiar with that, but if you want to play faster, right, and you're trying to get your chops down, and again, remember, I played classical guitar for a lot of years, man, so it's like when I get back on these little guitars here and playing like I'm playing a pick, it feels weird to me. So I can totally relate if you're out there and you're going like, hey, Bo, I've never really done much soloing and things like that, and this sound feels a little weird. Well, dude, it feels weird to me. I mean, I'm just not, I mean, playing like this, it feels a little awkward to me because I'm used to more like this kind of playing. But so I have to kind of work on it too. But I have a really dry sound so that you can hear everything without any delay or any distortion or anything, because when we're playing bursts, you always want to just have a real, I hate to say it, but a real crappy sound. And the reason why is because when you're playing real distorted, it sounds crazy, fuzzy, and but it's cool, right? And I remember going into world music when I was a kid, and I'd see guys like Jason Orm there and other people that were playing. You know, they would do some practicing on an amp with a bunch of distortion on it. And I remember just hearing that sound was so epic. And it's awesome to do that. And I know the temptation is always to want to play with kind of your little equipment. I'm running through an old pod. I don't know if you guys remember these old pods, not too long ago, but these old pods. Yeah, I'm just running through that right now. So hopefully it sounds good actually coming through there. Just a tiny little amp or mixer. But if you put it on a dry sound, there's nothing on this thing. It is just, you know, it is, it is about as dry as can be, huh? I mean, that thing is dry. So the reason why is so when we're playing six, the patterns. Now, this is the full scale. I haven't taught you guys a full scale yet, but I'm just going to work on that first 6 notes. So the burst is, so we're going to work on just like, we can do it on 6 or we can do it on 5. I think I'm going to do it on 5. So you see what I'm doing is I'm just working on the 5. And sometimes I'm working on this. And it's cool because if you slow it down, and you just kind of focus on your fingers, what does it feel like? And that's what you're kind of trying to do, is you're trying to mentally focus on what your fingers are doing, how they feel. And so you develop this pattern, right? You feel a familiarity too with the strings, of course, and you can hear little nuances. I'm not even playing anything with my left hand. I'm just, now I'll put it together, which is kind of cool, right? So you just kind of put it together, and then, but you're really being meticulous, right? And so you're sitting in front of the TV, you know, your kid's playing over there. You're like, hey, kid, how's it going? You doing good? You know, great. And you're just, and now we go to the next, and we're gonna run through the full scale here for the first time, actually. And so we're gonna take just, like I told you, just this regular major. So that's it. So if you don't know that, just go on Google and just look up straight like diatonic major or something like that. It might show it actually like this. I'm playing it in a pattern of 3. Does anybody know why out there I'm putting it into 3s? Anybody know why? Anybody know why? Ding, 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 ding. Why? Because usually when you're trying to play fast, it's easy to follow a certain pattern for your hands. And so when you put everything into patterns of 3 on the scale, on a scale, it makes it kind of simpler, right? It's so. I hope that makes sense, because you can actually. You can play more on a string if you wanted to, because you can play the whole. You can play the whole scale just on one string. Wouldn't that be crazy? Just play that one scale, just ripping on one string. But we go usually into the higher strings, the higher tone strings. And so sometimes it's easy just to put everything on a pattern of 3. So anyway, so check this out. Now you're doing alternate picking. Right now we're doing alternate picking. There's another way to pick, but we're just going to do alternate. Down and up. And then on this one, stop on the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was tough. Okay, now the reason why we did that, and I tried to go through the whole scale that way, did fairly okay. Didn't botch it too bad. But the reason why is because now you're starting to see what I'm doing. Is I first start off with the first burst. Now I start on this one. Then I go to the next one. Then I go to the next one. Then I can go to the next one. And then go descending the whole way. Now, the reason why this is really cool like this is if you just take this, take that simple major pattern and play it with bursts, is because most people don't practice speed. It's just or if they do, it's just like they just like kind of do a it's just like kind of a real hammer-on kind of pentatonic like thing, and that's it. Like you'll see a lot of people just, they'll even just hammer on everything. Everything's a hammer-on, and hammer-on's cool because that's where we get legato playing, which is nothing's wrong with that. So it sounds cool. It can be great. But if you want to develop speed, then you got to learn to pick. And so this is going to really force us, and that's the word. It's going to force. This practicing kind of style forces you to have to work on your right hand. So if your right hand sucks and you just can't play fast with your right hand, this is going to force you to have to slow it down and make sure that your technique's right. Is your shoulder good? Does your shoulder feel right? Is your elbow in the right spot? Are you placing your hand where it needs to be? Is it, are you playing too high with your wrist? Are you dropping it enough in a comfortable position? These are all questions that you got to be asking. Not so much working on your left hand so much, this technique, even though it is, but it's so much getting your right hand to where you're playing in an alternate style picking pattern in a quicker way. And so when you force yourself into playing this way without any distortion, you really hear every note. That's why I'm playing this guitar right here, just on what I'm playing it through, just really, really clean. Very in front of the TV, right? So, and try to go faster all of a sudden. And see how fast you go. Just crank it. Great. I mean, see if you can push that thing and really blow, man, just blow it up and get as fast. And man, wouldn't that be crazy if you can just? And you might stop and be like, "Whoo, that was tiring." But you know what? You just did 6 notes fast. You just cranked out 6 notes quick, and that's really amazing. You know, because when you're playing, you know, a quarter note or a whole note, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the measure is, and then you know you're playing your well, that's a whole note. And then you're playing your quarter notes, then you're playing your 8th notes, and then you're playing, you know, you're getting up to, you know, 16th notes, and then you're getting up to 64th notes. You're really starting to push this thing quick. And this is cool because if you can only play whole notes, just think if everything was just a whole note, right? If all you could play in a band was whole notes, dude, what would that band be like, dude? That would be crazy, huh? You're just like, oh. You know, and that's cool. But thing is then what if you jump to quarter notes, right? And it was like, right? And then what if you did 8 notes? Everyone was 8 notes, right? Right, which is cool too, right? And then you know you go, no, now we're, and then we, you know, 64th, right? You get cranking on that, but you know you want to be able to play all those different types of speeds. So you might have just congratulated yourself and went, hey man, I just did 6 notes quick. And the cool thing is it might not sound like much really, you know, when you're just playing in front of your TV, but you know what? You start putting this together and it starts sounding kind of cool, you know, and that's the cool part. So, you know, like when you go to the next one, and the reason why I did 5, I remembered why I always did 5, is that when you I'm on the downstroke. That's why, because I start with the downstroke, right? It'd be weird to start with an upstroke. Does anybody start with the upstroke on playing scales? I wonder. You could text or let me know on the message thing if you do. That would be really, I don't know if anybody, I mean, I could see maybe it might have a little bit of an interesting flow and it might feel kind of cool. I don't know if anybody does that as a different style, but that might be neat. I do it that 5 pattern because then I end on the downstroke. That's why. So when I go to the next one, I'm still on the downstroke when I end the little 5. So what does this sound like? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, next string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now check this out. The first one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we practice just with our right hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this one though was what? It was 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So now this string is, next one's. Now you can see the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I want you to hear the mistakes too. You know, I'm definitely beyond the idea of Guitar Pride, where you don't make any mistakes or anything like that. When you hear it, it's because your brain is having a hard time figuring what string to hit when. And that usually is because of not doing it a ton. And of course, I haven't done these a ton in a long period of time, but it's amazing how my brain still remembers it really well. And because you know why? Because I did it a ton back in the day. And even today I do sit and mess around like this all the time. So my brain does pick it up, but it's not wired in as it probably could be. And if I was in a band, definitely want to be if I was playing this kind of lead. But you get the idea, though, how difficult sometimes it is to switch from just doing a 1 2 3 1 2 to a next string 1 2 1 2 3 3 on the next string. So and then, but the reason now it sounds like just nothing when you're just playing it here and that kind of thing, but again, when you put it, so then man, that's a tough one. Now check this out. 1 1 2 3, next string 1. Try that one. Just try doing that. I mean, that's kind of tough, right? So it's not. So you can see, man, that I'm pushing it. And when you're pushing it, you're doing okay. And some of it sounds okay. And then some of it kind of flails. And that's okay to flail. As long as you can pull it back and just get back in the groove again. Let your brain always finish on good stuff. That's another second thing that's important to know in this video, is that just as force yourself, this is forcing you to have to really work on things. The second thing that's really important is that it is definitely getting you to, I mean, just look at this. I mean, it's really, really buckling you in to picking every note and having to slow it down so your brain can remember what is the right way to do it. So nothing's wrong in practicing to push to the place where you're out of control. Nothing's wrong with that when you're practicing. You got to push the weights. When you're in the gym, you got to pump it up. Sometimes when I'm in the gym, I put some big weight on and I'll just throw it. And I'm a little jerky, but I'm in control, but I'm trying to get my muscles to go, whoa, that's some weight, because that's how your muscles stay strong, right? You got to have some resistance training. So in guitar, you got to have a little resistance training too. You got to push it a little bit, and that's what we're doing. So when you push it, great, but get your brain to always remember the right way to do it. So when you put your guitar down and you're like, I'm done for the day, that was long, I was done for the practicing session. Always put down your guitar on a good note. Always put it down knowing the pattern you're playing. Isn't that cool? I just put it down and I just put it up and I played quick and I played it clean. Isn't that cool? And it's just because your brain starts picking it up. It's amazing. Your brain's radical. It just starts picking up the right way to do it. And so There you go, like that. Now, that's a cool one. Now this is that's the same. That last little bit was the same pattern as 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 2. That one feels a little weird to me. 2 3 2 3. Wow, dude, do I want to play 3 on that one? That's crazy. My brain wants to go da 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 ba boom, da 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 ba boom. It doesn't want to go da da boom boom boom. So my brain is definitely geared towards going ba 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 bum, ba 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 bum, ba 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 bum. That's how my brain is. I mean, when I just tried to do this 1 2 on the G string, just 1 2, and then go to the D and go 1 2 3. So I'm starting with a downstroke. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. So what I got to do is tell my brain, I got to let my brain know, no, I'm going to go, it's going to go da da ba ba boom, da da ba ba boom, da da ba ba boom. Okay, so that's how you can see how my brain's working, right? I'm really meticulous. This might be boring you to death, but this is kind of how you do it. I mean, this is how I kind of roll through this, you know, and I'm sure guys like Yngwie and all those amazing players, you know, they didn't just pick up guitar and do 3-octave arpeggios or 3-octave scales, or some of them even 4-octave scales. You know, they don't. They have to start off with small stuff. So, but you can really work this and make it cool. So where we ended was that. I think that's where I was at. Or it was something like that. I forgot where we were. But it was at 2 3. So you get the idea that you're putting it now. You're putting it together because you want to play. So you want to be able to do that, right? So and that would be cool if you can. Whew. So you can see how this is important to start off. So you can see how that goes, right? So speed burst. So now you take that into the other scales and you can work on that way. So you say you get bored of A major and you're like, I'm done with that one. Whoo, that's a tough one. If you know your modes, you can certainly go into your modes. So we'll work on this A, this section. That's kind of a cool arpeggio. kind of nice like that. Ooh, it's kind of a cool riff, huh? Something like that. Anyway, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. But if you're up here on the E, because we want to solo up here too. Remember, everything's repeated from here to here. Everything's repeated. Everything's repeated, right? The guitar is really only this. I mean, it could really just be that, right? You know, but instead it's pushed up. Okay, so say we start on the minor, and we'll just kind of do it this way. So now this minor, we might switch it up a little bit just to make it so it works. And you should learn to do this too on your own, that when you're playing like a standard minor, this is E minor. You guys have seen that pattern before. I'm flattening my hands a little bit so you can see it maybe. Right? Sometimes we switch it up. Now, why would I do that? I tell you what, that's a ripping, easier way to play that scale, that what I just did. Playing it this way, then playing it this way. For me. So you can do it that way too. You can check this out. Repeats a note twice, but you can do it that way to make it 3 notes per string, right? And remember why we did that, right? We made it 3 notes per string because it kind of gets ripping that way. So you can develop a pattern and keep your right hand in that 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So sometimes you could just sit and practice this in front of the TV. I know it sounds kind of corny and kind of weird and kind of lame, and people, your wife or husband will just be like, whatever, you know, like, what are you doing? And it sounds boring. I know Sylvia many years has been like, what the heck are you doing? You're just making noise, you know, but I'm just sitting there going, you know, just dozing off to the Twilight Zone shows. So, which we all are kind of doing nowadays, right? We're catching up on all of our Twilight Zone episodes. Hopefully you got through all 5 seasons. Awesome show. So, but I'm going to just take this in the real standard format right now and finish up the time with you guys with this. So if we take the minor, just the standard minor, if you look up on Google and you look up just minor scale, you're probably going to say something like that. So if we did that and we did our burst, right? 1, 2, we end up with 5s because we want to end up on the downstroke. So this one's so that one's like that. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm just taking the burst every 5. Now this is a tough one because it seems like it's a lot of 1 1 2 3 1 1 1 2 1 2. You know, kind of this feel that you always feel like you're jumping a little bit on the string. Now, this is good, though. It's good for us to practice it because it helps us develop the ability to be flexible so that not every scale you're ever going to play is going to be in patterns of 3, right? Especially when we do when we start doing the octaves, you know, then what those three octave scales, you know, you're sometimes not doing the 1 2 3s, 1 2 3s, 1 2 3s. You got to be able to have 1 2 boom boom boom, you know, so 1 2 3 boom 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 boom, and that kind of feel to your playing. So nothing's wrong with practicing it, even though it, like that one. That one. So some of those patterns are really tough and they're going to feel a little funky, but you know what, just keep at it and you know, you'll practice. But this is a good way just to develop practicing without really having to do incredible amount of brain stuff, because you're not doing songs, you know, you're not learning music. Kelsey got a guitar, so she's going to learn to play some tunes with me, but you're not learning a piece. You know, you're not doing that kind of stuff. You're just sitting there in front of the TV, and let's face it, a lot of our times we just sit in front of the TV and we can just but you have to know what you're doing. You have to go, I'm going to go 2 3 bump 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 bump. I'm going to go bump 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 bump. The next ones. So 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1. So you can get into patterns though, and then you want to break it and go, okay, let's do something crazy. Let's do 5 to 2. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 1. So if you do that, you can find yourself going, whoa, there's a lot to practice. There's endless amounts of opportunities. But hopefully this lesson, if anything, will force you into really working on some of your playing in a clean way, where you're not just putting on the distortion and going, hey, that sounded great, but instead you're wanting to clean up your playing a little bit, work on some of your right hand and shore that up a titch. And then it also is getting your brain to remember little patterns, you know, whether it's the 1 2 3 1 2 patterns to the next string, or 1 2 1 2 3 to the next string, or a 1 1 2 3 1 to the next string, those type of things. Again, you know, it's all these little things that make the car run, and you know, so you got to put it all together. So that's a good shredder lesson. That's a 37-minute shredder lesson. So that's $20 each person, man. Now, I don't know how much they do lessons for nowadays at the Guitar Center. I think in my day, $15 maybe. And I got it from a guy, I want to say his name was Joe, at World Music in Simi Valley, or Music World, I think what it was when I was a kid. And I want to think his name was Joe, and he was a short guy with curly hair, and played a Les Paul, but he was way cool and taught me. And when he taught me that, I was in for sure. So, hey guys, take care. Have a great day, and hope you guys are just healthy and enjoying, you know, one another, and just being thankful for sure. So thank God for music. Right. We'll talk to you guys soon. And Kelsey, we'll do some playing. Okay. We'll get you going. Take care, guys. Good seeing you. Bye-bye.